You know, we've been chasing Osceola turkeys for over a quarter of a century, and we've learned a lot. But my dad always taught me, when you really want to go and become the best you can be, you go to the experts. We're down here in Florida with Osceola Outfitters, one of the premier places in all of Florida to hunt Osceola Gobblers. And who are we going to ask and talk to about tips and tricks for the Osceola turkey? Hoppy Kempfer.
I've been hunting turkeys for over 3 decades, but every morning I walk into the woods, there's always a chance I'm going to learn something new, and there's always at least one thing I learn every season. One of the first questions I get when somebody's calling me to book a hunt is, do I need snake boots? Well, you're in Florida, there's water, there's swamps, we've got palmettos, we've got cottonmouths, we've got rattlesnakes, we've got coral snakes, they're the poisonous ones. Do I see many? Not here on the ranch, but know where you're going, ask somebody that's in charge, do you really need those snake boots or not? If you're really concerned about it, get you a pair of snake boots. You're probably gonna need some type of insect repellent, maybe a thermocell, some type of clothing with the insect shield built in it. We don't wanna be smacking mosquitoes right in the middle of a hunt because you know how weary a turkey is. He's gonna catch that movement. One of the items I use and would recommend when you get into the woods and you're ready to start listening for a tom gobbling on the roost is some type of a locator call. What works best for me is a hoot, an owl hooter. I'm not saying they don't hoot at a crow call or some of the other items that they may in different states, but in what I've seen in Florida, the owl hoot is the best. Let's talk about decoys. Hen decoy, tom decoy, Jake decoy. Check your legality in all your states to see if you can use remote control decoys. I prefer remote controls or something with a hand line just for movement, and that gets that turkey's eye on that decoy and not so much on you. Now, for some of you that are coming to Florida to hunt on public land, one of the tips that I could give you, because I'm not a public land hunter, but I am on private, and there is a lot of public land here where the state is managing, the land for the wildlife. I like to hunt near, around, or even on a burned area. We do a lot of control burning here in Florida to keep the growth from coming up and getting too high and prevention of wildfires. You need to hit these burns. Now, when you come across one of these burned areas, let's just say it's a big palmetto flat that's been burned off with pine timber, maybe standing pine on it, you're gonna look across there and think there is no way there's a turkey even gonna walk through this stuff. I'm just telling you right now, get near a swamp that's bordering one of these burns, you may be surprised. Let's talk a little bit about a setup. What I mean setup is when you get ready to sit down and try to work a turkey, sometimes you don't have time. You hear a turkey gobble and he's real close and you better just plan it right there. Based on whether you're right-handed or left-handed, but I never want my hunter to sit straight on it where you think your shot's going to be. Position yourself to the side to where you can swing. You need to be able to swing. So if you're right-handed, you're gonna be able to swing a full motion across your chest. Sit in an angle. Make sure you've got a little bit of cover behind you. If you've got time, cut a couple palm fronds, cut some brush and put around you. The big thing I've seen with Osceola turkeys in comparison to the turkeys I've hunted in other states, let's just say your easterns, you sit up against a tree in the east woods somewhere and everything's fine. An Osceola turkey will pick you out like you've never seen before. I have no idea why. I think it's because they're used to walking through all this brush all of the time and they see something standing out. Brush yourself in. You will do better if you can brush yourself in. Another question I get is, what type of camo do I need? I prefer what's in our surroundings. You've got a greenish background in the spring. I like to have a camo with a little bit of green in it, maybe some grays to match the oak and the cypress and even the pine timber here when you're leaning up against a tree. I like a little green in it though, because we typically have green come spring. Little tip that I found that's been very helpful for us is not to overcall to the Osceola turkey. Osceolas are a little bit weary. One of the things I do is if I hear turkeys that are very vocal on the roost in the morning, you can be vocal as well. You know as well as I do, as if you're a turkey hunter, there's mornings you hear a gobbler gobbling. You may hear a hen just cluck a few times and fly down. Those are the days that I don't do a lot of heavy calling. Light calls typically work better for Osceolas. You'll be surprised how far that call carries, and those turkeys can hear it. Another question I get is, why is the Osceola the hardest turkey to get? Is it because they're smarter? No. Is it because they're more weary than the other turkeys? No. It's because of the small demographic area that we have where the Osceola lives. It's not really even the whole state of Florida, although the NWTF recognizes it as a Florida turkey. There is a demographic line drawn somewhere, around the Ocala area up to Jacksonville. It's not that it's the hardest to call in. It's not that they're any smarter, but that's typically why it seems to be harder to get, because of the small demographic area. What is the physical difference in the Osceola compared to, say, the Eastern turkey, which is the closest nearby turkey to us? You may see that the Eastern turkey seems to be a little darker in color. Now, I'm no biologist, but this is what I believe. In the state of Florida, there's a lot of sunshine here, and I think that sun really beats down on the feathers of these turkeys, and our toms will change color in the spring. They'll get a bit darker than the hens, but they have a little more reddish brown tint to them. Some people ask, the legs seem to be a bit longer on the Osceola. I don't know that they're any longer. What I see the difference is the length of the body feathers. Body feathers are shorter. It's probably because we don't get as cold here, so they don't need as much hair like mammals, so it'd be feathers on the bird. The difference between the Osceola and the Eastern is going to be the wing barring. There's not as much white on the wing of the Osceola, so that's one good characteristic you can tell. Spur length. We typically get a little longer spurs at a younger age on an Osceola. 2-year-old birds will have nearly a 1-inch spur, sometimes a 1-inch spur, where in some other states, if you get a turkey with a 1-inch spur, it may be a big mature 2 or 3, 4-year-old tom. But an Osceola will typically have longer spurs than the other turkeys at a younger age. One misconception is turkey roosting areas. I get asked, oh man, look at these big live oaks with the big limbs and they're crooked, and man, these will be great places for an Osceola gobbler to be roosting. No. They do not care for the oaks. If that's all they have, yes, they'll use them. In the fall of the year, we do see Osceolas roosting in oak trees, but in the spring, they prefer a big pine, or they really prefer a cypress tree. When I say cypress tree, it can be in the most dense, wet, over top of chest deep water. They love a cypress tree, and they'll be right up in the top of it on a limb that you would never, ever believe that they would be sitting on. So walking around looking for, turkey manure underneath the trees, you'll see it at times, but typically these Osceolas don't always roost in the same exact tree. Maybe in the same area, maybe in the tree next to the one he was in last night, but it's not like what I've seen the Miriams where they're roosting on basically the same limb every night. These Osceolas will move around to a different tree, but they'll be in that general area. When pressure hits these turkeys, hunting pressure, when I see that happening even on private property here where we maybe have hunted a turkey over and over, they're roosting in the same area, maybe they're a little bit quiet, maybe they've heard you get into your spot that morning, probably not going to gobble a whole lot. You may have to just tone down your calls to just 1 or 2, let him know you're there, don't move, hope that he flies down. But when you're hunting a pressured bird, don't overdo, don't try too much, because typically it will not work. So here in Florida, we can hunt the Osceola all day long. I can't tell you that there's a better time than the other. I like that early morning, fly down, hope you get him in the first 30 minutes type hunt. But I've sat through those mornings where it didn't happen, things get quiet. 2 hours later, finally a gobble appears, and then we start working a bird and are successful. Patience kills. I'm just telling you, patience will kill better than anything that you've got in your sack of goodies. So some mornings here in Florida, Unlike in other states where you hear a turkey gobble, you may hear that turkey in, let's just say, Alabama. You may hear him 4 ridges over. He may be a mile away, and you know he's a mile away. And I've had hunters hear a turkey gobble and think, well, let's get up and go to him. And I'm like, no. We're going to sit right here. He's just right there. Well, he sounds like he's far away. So heavy humidity. No, pay attention to that humidity in the mornings, because the turkey is actually going to be closer to you than you think in most cases here in Florida. When we were talking about hunting the burn areas, if you have a gobbler roosted in a pine tree, I don't care if it's on a burn, I don't care if it's in the palmetto woods, you cannot move on that bird when the daylight is creeping up on you. They will spot you from a long way off. You better sit down, let him get on the ground, then make your move. There's a couple of ways that you can obtain a hunting license in Florida. If you're coming to Florida to turkey hunt, you're only going to be here less than 10 days, get a 10-day non-resident hunting license and a turkey permit. You can pick up your license online. Just go to gooutdoorsflorida.com, or you could pick it up at the Bass Pro Cabela's. They sell them right in there. The nice thing about hunting turkey in Florida is you can buy your license over the counter or online. You do not have to apply. So come on down to Florida, hunt yourself a turkey. I hope that I've given you at least one tip that may help you this year in the turkey woods. Hope to see you around.